Students, we are given this next question. A particle moves along a horizontal line. So a particle is moving along the horizontal line such that its position at time t greater than equal to 0 is given by s of t is t cubed negative 6t squared positive 9t positive 1. Now s is measured in meters and t is measured in seconds. You are expected to find the time the particle is at rest. Now the particle has to come to a rest. So when is that possible? So when is that possible for a particle to come to rest? When its velocity becomes equal to 0. So you can start the solution by stating that fact. The particle comes to rest when v of t is 0. Okay, so we need to know what is the v of t. Now v of t is obtained from ds over dt, right? When you differentiate this, the s of t value would give us v of t. Okay, so that means you are going to be differentiating t cubed negative 6t squared positive 9t positive 1, which is going to be 3 times t squared negative 12t positive 9. But this has to be equated to 0. So this would imply that 3t squared negative 12t positive 9 is equal to 0. I take 3 out, I would get t squared negative 4t positive 3 is equal to 0. So this is what I'm getting. Of course, we can factorize this. If I were to factorize this, this is going to be 3 of t negative 1 times t negative 3 is equal to 0. Because t times t squared, t multiplied with negative 3 would give me negative 3t. That has to be added with negative 1t. So that would give us 4t with a negative sign. Of course, negative times negative would be positive. So that is why I get this result. Now, from here, clearly we can write t minus 1 is equal to 0 or t minus 3 is equal to 0. Now this would mean t is equal to 1 or t is equal to 3. So that is the important point. The particle comes to rest when the velocity is equal to 0, when the velocity becomes equal to 0, when t is equal to 1 or t is equal to 3. So that is a very important point that we have found. Now we have to move to the question 2. So having found that t is equal to 1 and t is equal to 3 being the two time where the particle comes to rest, we are moving to question 2. Question 2 wants us to find at what time the particle changes direction. Now for that, just draw the number line and write the values. We got t is equal to 1 and t is equal to 3. So we got region on this side and in between and the region on this side. Okay, of course this is 1 here, so this is going to be 0 and you got a entire number line stretching towards the negative side. Now we have got this relationship, okay, because this time it wants us to find the velocity. So we have, when will the velocity change direction? Now why are we saying the velocity changes direction? Because the question wants at what time the particle changes direction. So the particle can change, or in other words, the particle changes direction only when v of t changes direction. Okay. Now for that, we know that the v of t value is 3 times t negative 1 times t negative 3. This is what we've got. So we need to find the signs that they have. Now for value of t lying between 0, okay, 0 and 1. Suppose if I take the region between 0 and 1, okay, that means the value of t is not 1 but less than 1 but greater than 0. Okay, if it is t is less than 1, then this quantity, this will imply that t negative 1 will be a negative quantity, less than 0. Now t is less than 1, so that means t is smaller than 3. So that means this will also imply that t negative 3 will be less than 0. So this in turn would mean that product of two negatives will be greater than 0. So this is going to give me a positive value, okay, for values in which t is less. Now next is in between. So that means between 1 and 3. So if I were to take value, so let me take this as case 1 and let me take this as case 2. So for values of t lying between 1 and 3. Now if I were to take a value which is greater than 1 and less than 3, so take a value 2. So if I were to take the value of t being equal to 2, so this is going to be 3 of 2 negative 1 times 2 negative 3. So that's going to be 3 of 1 and negative 1. This is going to be negative 3, which is less than 0. Okay, so this is giving me a negative value. Now let me consider case 3. That means for value of t which is greater than 3. Okay, so for t greater than 3. So t is greater than 3. So that means v of t will be 3 of t negative 1 times t negative 3. So when t is say 4, this is going to be positive, this is going to be positive. So this would mean v of t is going to be greater than 0, which means this is a positive value. So you get a positive here, you have a positive here, you have a positive here. The only point where the sign is changing from positive to negative is in between. This is the only point. So this is the only region where the particle can change its directions. So you can state that we observe that after you have done all this, you have to write these things. We clearly observe that the particle changes direction between 1 and 3. So in this case you can simply write this as when t is equal to 1 and t is equal to 3. So that would be sufficient to answer that question. Now we are expected to find the distance traveled by the particle in the first 2 seconds. So for that we will have to find s of 0 minus s of 1. Take the modulus, add it with modulus of s of 1 minus s of 2. This is the standard formula. That means between 0 to 1, the change, that would be the distance for the first second, and between 1 and 2, the change, that will be the distance traveled for the second second. That means for 2 seconds we are taking it into account. So this is going to be, first find s of 0. That's going to be 0 cubed negative 6 times 0 squared, positive 9 times of 0, positive 1, which would give you 1, and s of 1, substitute 1, negative 6 of 1 squared, positive 9 of 1, positive 1. This is going to be 1, negative 6, positive 9, positive 1. This added together would give you 2. Negative 6 added with 9, that's going to give you positive 3. So you're going to get 5 there. Now s of 2 you have to find out. So that's going to be 2 cubed negative 6 of 2 squared, positive 9 of 2, positive 1. So this is going to be 2 cubed is 8. 2 squared is 4, that's 24, positive 9 times 2 is 18, positive 1. This will give me 26, this is going to be 27, so 27 minus 24, this will give me 3. So s of 0 is 1, negative s of 1 is 5, modulus sign, positive, s of 1 is 5, negative s of 2 is 3. This is going to be negative 4 added with positive 2, which is going to be 4 positive 2, which is 6 meters. So that will be the final answer to the question.